Well, it's not exactly the Rolling Stones on tour, but Hillary Clinton's Endless Excuses World Tour is doing a brisk business still. Clinton was recently in the United Kingdom, where she began complaining about the American electoral system. Here's a selection.
Now, in the U.S., it was a perfect storm. Deep currents of anger and resentment flowing through our culture. A political press that told voters my emails were the most important story. Unprecedented intervention in our election by the FBI. And an information warfare campaign waged from the Kremlin.
Waged from the Kremlin. The darkest recesses of the Kremlin, no doubt. But the 2016 election is still a topic of conversation. The president himself brought it up last night during his rally in South Carolina. Here's a selection from that.
She writes a book and she does a tour, and how many reasons did she give for losing the election? Like every week it was a different reason, right? She blamed everybody for losing the election except for one person, herself.
Tammy Bruce is a radio show host in New York and obviously a frequent and treasured guest on this show, and she joins us tonight. Tammy, I don't want to carry water for the Kremlin, but I can't resist asking, what do you think this is about? I've asked you this many times, but I'm still baffled.
Well, look, and it really matches what you've been discussing earlier in the show about the left-wing reaction to the election. Based in emotion, no facts. It has nothing to do with policy. It has everything to do with just some self-obsession, if you will, and rage. So here you've got, she's on foreign soil, in addition, Tucker, doing this, and yet now she's also not even confronting Trump about policy or about she would have better ideas, and this is the problem. In that speech, she also compared him to Turkey's tyrannical Erdogan, a man who just got reelected, and that in and of itself is a remarkable dynamic. But she still, personally, for some reason, can't resolve the fact that she failed, that this was not going to happen. And indeed, when she talks about, a Russian conspiracy, it really was about the simple, basic decisions in the campaign, like not going to Wisconsin, as an example. Very basic campaign decision-making that I think contributed to that failure.
So you think this is an example of a public figure basically living out her emotional life in public?
Yes, and look, as a woman, and I want women in power, and we're terrific leaders, the fact that this has become almost a stereotypical cartoon of what happens with a woman, misogynists argue that women aren't rational, that we don't look and deal with the issues properly, that we can't be reasoned with. This is not helpful, and it is a shame. And at the same time here, right, she's arguing, when she argues against the Electoral College as an example, she's arguing that the entire Republican structure of the United States is at fault as well, that it's the founders now who are the problem, who are now to be blamed. And I think that she's a representation also of what's happening here at home with the left and what's going on now with all of the harassment and violence.
Not helpful. That is exactly right. I think candidly, a lot of people who support her probably feel that way too, but they can't admit it.
Yeah.
Tammy Bruce, thank you for that.
Thanks for having me.
Elucidation.
Thank you.